Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 5 series of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is the WardiTV Mondays, which was played last Monday. This is the grand finals where both players are competing for a few $100s. Now, first off, our Protoss player, who goes by the name of Hero, he's decided to start off this game by sending a probe across the map. And we're gonna go for a cheeky little bit of cheese, huh? Fair enough. Spawning in the opposite corner of Ultra Love with the blue Terran pieces, we have the world champion of StarCraft 2. But of course, he goes by the name of Clem, joined by everybody's favorite, the little polar bear. Not as cool as Shark Bro, but I mean, it gets a solid second place. What in the world are we doing, Hero? Are we really gonna do a proxy double gate against Clem? Okay. Sure, I'm here for it. This is not a build I've really seen over the last, well, few years of StarCraft 2. It used to be popular way back in the day when Terran players used to go for blind command centers on the low ground. But if Clem does any variant of a double gas opener, he's not going to be going for any fast CCs here whatsoever. Obviously, that doesn't mean that he's immediately out of the waters yet, but this is one of the easiest all-ins you can go for as Protoss. You just kind of keep the aggression going. Problem is, this is Clem. So Clem is extremely good at microing his units. If he spots this, he's going to be able to counter it relatively comfortably. Main concern, of course, is that he's not gonna know that any of this is in the works until it's already a little bit too late. 2 Zealots are coming. We do have a pylon at home as well, and attached to that is now a Cybernetics core. So Hero will probably be following this up with Stalkers as well after the first wave, or maybe a second wave of Zealots. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what happens here. Hero will now know, though, that this is indeed not a fast expansion on the low ground, which may just be an auto win. He really does want there to be a command center on the low ground. Obviously, one thing to keep in mind is that Terran players can't just make Cyclones as easily anymore. I do like this, by the way, the probe dragging that Reaper all the way towards the top left-hand corner. So this will certainly not be spotted, because that Reaper is now going to take the shortest route towards the other side of the map, which will bypass all of this in its entirety. Well, you know what? This might just work out. Yeah, Clem is going for a tech lap over here too. This is where you need to start panicking, because you're not supposed to have a bunch of Zealots knocking at your front door. Lucky for him, though, he does finish the reactor. That means that he can actually start repairing it. A structure that is still in production cannot be repaired. Can you actually defend against this sort of thing? I mean, this is a lot of damage coming up. We may have to pull a few SCVs to start repairing those supply depots as well. Clem is indeed going to pull some more. 2 of the Marines spawn. Stalkers on the back of this right now too. We have a Cyclone on the production tab here for Clem. Cyclones are going to be amazing because you can actually micro them for a very long time. One of the Zealots immediately falls. And so far, I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed with the way that Clem is managing this. Oh, what? No! He used the Reaper grenade and accidentally booped the Zealot across his own wall off. Little bit clumsy. It's one of the weird interactions in StarCraft 2 that only happens when you position the Reaper grenade just right. Zealot lives. Good micro right there by Hero. Second Cyclone, though, can now be afforded. Clem did also fire up a command center during all of this. And Clem is feeling so confident that he is going to be able to just continue the economical progression here, too. So what do you do now, Hero? You've not really achieved anything. Like, yeah, you've hurt the opponent a little bit. But Clem, honestly, handled that like an absolute superstar. He's not out of the woods yet. Hero is also not going to be able to really slow down that much. He needs to continue being aggressive. I love this Reaper going back across. Effectively now making it impossible until a Protoss unit shows up at home. But effectively making it impossible to now make an expansion. Siege tank coming up too. You can siege up, well, anywhere. But especially in an area that could reach the low ground. At that point, you just have this defeated very easily. Brilliant defense here by Clem. Honestly, kind of insane. I think there's gonna be one more wave. There will be one more wave of Protoss. And it'll be down to Clem to defend against that one too. He goes for a starport now. You may need to repair these 2 back up to full HP. I wouldn't mind seeing one SCV working on that. Oh, he actually wants to try and secure the low ground. He doesn't know exactly what's happening. Nexus, by the way, is building as the Stalker did go back home. One force field to try and prevent the Terran from going down the low ground, but at this point he should be okay. And Adept did slip by all of this, but that's gonna get locked onto, and it will not be able to get much more damage in. Although good target firing right there on its way out. Gets one more SCV. Stalker right now, ooh, they want to commit onto the siege tank. Guardian Shield also protecting this Protoss army. Just a smidge. Reduces the damage though, that's coming in quite significantly, but I believe that there is just enough Terran here for Clem to hold all of this at bay. It's actually kind of an insane game. We don't generally see this sort of thing at all. I am very impressed that this has been looking as easy as it seemingly has been here for Clem. Like, the fact that he's making this look like a game that is going exactly according to plan, it just shows you why these sort of builds from Protoss are just so uncommon these days. GG gets cold. Hero is very far behind. It doesn't really look good, but he doesn't really have anything going, right? He's behind in economy, he's behind in tech, he's behind in army, he's behind in every aspect of the game. Only by a small margin, but if you're gonna beat Clem, you're gonna have to do so from an advantage. Calm and collected. Clem didn't scout, he didn't know what was going on, but he reacted perfectly. Yeah, if you're a Terran player and you sometimes lose to proxy gateways, just play like Clem. Yeah, just do what Clem did, and you won't lose ever again. Honestly, great advice. Genuinely though, there is always a lot of balance winding in StarCraft 2. And sometimes, when I ladder a lot, right now admittedly I'm not laddering a ton, but at least in the past when I did a lot of laddering, sometimes I would catch myself going down the line of thought as well, right? Where I'd be like, oh my god, this is so overpowered, yada yada yada. But then sometimes, it is actually not terrible advice to think that, well, Serral would have won, Clem would have won, MechSpecs would have won, right? Like there's definitely a skill issue. There is always a skill issue in StarCraft 2. Not saying the balance has ever been perfect. Obviously, there are small implications as well at any level of play, even in Bronze League, for a nerf to, for example, I don't know, a Nidus Worm cost or whatever, right? Like, all of that would impact every level of play, but there's no denying that a pro gamer in your shoes probably would have won. At the very least, that can be helpful for my own laddering every once in a while when I realize I am becoming a very whiny player. Everybody becomes a whiny player at some point after a frustrating game. Now, Clem, do you think he's going to scout now? No. As a matter of fact, he's thinking, well, there's no chance that Hero is going to go and build another bunch of gateways on my side of the map, right? I'll just build the command center right in plain open view right over here in the natural expansion. I'm not too concerned about any sort of aggression. He did send the Reaper out a little bit just to scout if there was any shenanigans going on, but I kind of like this here from Clem. Just full confidence. CC building now after getting proxy gated. He does not seem to care. Now Hero has opened up with a quick sentry. I always like the sentry builds. Very powerful these days. Especially, of course, because of that energy recharge ability. You can get some extra energy on the sentry. And then use the hallucination scout continuously. He's now also going straight into the good old blink. So blink gateways, or blink stalkers, outer gateways will be coming up here momentarily for Hero. Question is mostly how many gates will he be able to produce before he switches over to any sort of, well, third nexus or any follow-up tech. Reaper's now going to the main base, and this is Clem ready to be a bit of a bully. There is a single shield battery here, but this is actually still quite dangerous. Yeah, Hellions and Reapers are not great at killing stalkers, but nice micro right there by Hero. Hero, though, is still going to be in a world of trouble now with all of these units going in. Hellions try to get a good attack, but he does not quite get the perfect line of fire. 3 probes, 4 probes, maybe 5? I kind of feel like Clem could have had more. Clem was looking for the perfect line of attack there with those Hellions, right? Like the probes stacking up, and I feel like he could have had like one big burst that would have brought all of these very, very low at HP. It takes 3 of those Hellions to fire at the same time. So he wasn't going to be able to one-shot it, but that was still going to be... That still could have been 10 times worse, I think, for Hero. Ultimately, he's okay. Now, we have a robo facility on the back of this. We've got ourselves a Templar Archives 2. A lot of Protoss players lately have been very fond of going into the quick High Templar research. Sonic Storm is very powerful these days. Terran's obviously not as fun to transition into ghosts anymore, so in general, EMP is just... I mean, it's still powerful, but it's not quite as easy to get out. And generally, we don't see that from Terrans anyway until they get that third command center secured. Clem only on 2 gases up until just now. He will be teching up eventually, but there will certainly be a nice time period where High Templar can be extremely effective. This is also a difficult call to make though for Hero. So Hero is now teching up. So he made the Templar Archives, he's going into Storm, he made the Robo facility, he's starting up his production there. But he's also building a 3rd Nexus, all off of just 2 gateways. So he's got barely any production at all. He doesn't really know exactly what's happening on the other side of the map. But he's thinking if you're opening up with Reapers, you're going into a bunch of Hellions. Generally, you won't attack me until Stimpak is done with any sort of big push. And this was your early game, right? Like, that is the attack you've been cooking up. Maybe there will be like a Widowmine drop or a Liberator or like a Raven dropping an auto turret, something along those lines. But the majority of the defense right now can just be produced out of 2 gateways. That means that Hero is playing quite a greedy follow-up here. All of the tech, all of the economy, all off of just 2 gateways until 2 additional ones are being built right now. High Templar set up as well for feedback. I always like that. Not a bad idea whatsoever. And we may just see some Stormy drops. Do we have a Prism? Yeah, we do. Only 1 Templar? No, we need some more. Get in there. Get into that plane. Alright, I think we could have brought the 3rd as well, but... Really? Are we just awkwardly waiting? Why are we waiting? I guess he wants to wait and see if maybe he can storm the Terran army. I wouldn't have minded seeing him test the waters on the other side of the map and maybe storm the mineral line instead. Probably a waste of energy though, because Clem's micro is generally very good and his reaction speed is quite ridiculous, but... Yeah, he's just waiting for additional... Like, he's already believing he's got the economical advantage here. So there's really no reason for him to be too aggressive at this point in time. He does have a load of gateways, by the way. Yeah, so we're going up to 9 gateways. No, we're going 10 gateways? 10 gateways, I was going to say. Even number is way better than odd number. Although prime number is also acceptable when it comes to numbers of gateways. Either way, this is indeed going to be Hero making himself up for a big attack. Good feedbacks there. I thought he was going to go for the Storm. He got the Raven, though. He really wants to get the Medevac as well. Doesn't quite have the vision out front. Okay, 1 Stormy, 2 Stormy, 3 Stormy. Archon coming up as well. Clem is already pre-split very nicely. But does he have enough stuff? That's my main question here. This is an awful lot of Zealots coming in, and there's also just more Storms on the back of this, and an awful lot of production here for Hero as well. Extremely committed, though. We have a bunch of Templar. Completely mispositioned. What are you guys doing throwing water balloons at all of those units? Did Hero just throw this for himself? Ay, 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 ay. That was supposed to go way better. I think he had everything he needed. He's gonna try again, though, and he might just still be able to squeeze out an advantage here regardless. But those High Templar are awkwardly coming in from the side. He must have all-army hotkeyed those. Having 2 additional Storms here would be absolutely massive. He decides to just, oh god, warp in the middle of this engagement. Liberation Zone set up over here on the high ground too. Trying to just be annoying. Obviously, Zealots don't have any anti-air. There's an awkward number of Stalkers now running in through, but that was quite sloppy. Yeah. Clem narrowly escapes death. Those SCVs, they could have been stormed. But lucky there for Clem, a few of the High Templar decided to awkwardly, well, join in the fray on the left side. I think maybe he mixed up his hotkeys there for a second. Or used the all-army hotkey. I mean, Hero is known to use the all-army hotkey a little bit too much. He's still doubling down. He does have a probe down on the left side of the map too. Ready to build a 4th Nexus. Storm coming in here, but this is all very microable now. And Clem is climbing ahead when it comes to that supply count. Not bad at all. Ghost Academy. Building in the back of the main. We have a armory, a 2nd engineering bay too. Clem is gonna try continue playing the macro game here. Another nice storm dodge. That 2nd one though did deal quite a bit of damage. Widowmine's breaking through a lot of this as well as the Zealots and the... Yeah, the Zealots just lock onto it. I mean, I don't think there's enough. No, I don't think Hero can actually break through this. Immortal is good though. Ooh, and that storm was powerful. Very flimsy. Another High Templar coming in clutch. He does storm a bunch of the SCVs here. Prism now ended up going down as the Vikings have joined in too. And I think that really is now forcing Hero to go back home. He finally got some damage done. 15 SCVs in total. But I think it's a little too late. Yeah, I think it's time to go back to the drawing board. And for this game to now continue. Double Forge here for Hero. He obviously delayed those upgrades to try and go for the big attack. He's also building a 4th Nexus. 2-2 should start up right about right now here for Clem. There it goes. +2 armor here as well as soon as he's got the resources for it. It looks like we're just going to be playing a nice macro game from here. Okay. Now this is a difficult game at this point to really read. We can look at the supply count and determine, yeah, Clem is seemingly in a nice position. He does have a little bit more stuff. He's got better upgrades. He's ahead, right? But if you are in Clem's shoes right now, reading the situation is very tough. Because that early game obviously wasn't great for him. He could have done a bit more, but it also wasn't terrible. And then the push just now from Hero could have been better. But he still dealt some damage, right? Like, how in the world do you now determine what your current phase in the game is and how committed you can really be to any follow-up attacks? Hero is also pretending like his army is absolutely massive by continuously being aggressive here. This is him mostly faking it. He's making himself look big and scary, but he really doesn't have that many fancy units. His economy is really also not that good. His upgrades are kind of mediocre. But if you're in Clem's shoes here and you look at the movement of this Protoss player, you would imagine that you're pretty far behind. Hero is selling the story well, and he certainly does still have a formidable army. One storm and this can be over. That's not the one. Ooh, okay. EMPs and storms and feedbacks and all the rest of it. The dance of the troops. Okay. Now, do you ever tech up here as Protoss? Do you ever feel like you could tech up to, say, Tempest? Probably not. Here we go. Big attack here instead. We have the High Templar hiding inside of that prism. They know that if they land, they're going to get EMP'd immediately, so that's what Clem is hunting for here. Clem, though, doesn't have that many Marauders. Very Marine Ghost heavy here. Wouldn't mind seeing some more Marauder production. Clem realizes, though, that he needs to get another command center going fast, because he's running out of cash. Planetary Fortress would, of course, be amazing. +2/+2 right now finishing up. Generally, that's the opportunity for Terran to attack. That's when we usually see big pushes moving across the map. But I don't think it's Clem. Ooh, I don't think Clem has that chance right now. It's a literal minefield here, though, for those Zealots, as pretty much all of them get absolutely torn apart. Planetary Fortress only about a third of the way done. Hero wanted to see if maybe he could kill the SCVs. Maybe the command center itself does not quite achieve that goal. He did, however, fire up the 2-2 research as well. Clem should go into 3-3 here momentarily, but I can imagine at this stage in the game, it's a little difficult to spend all of that money. Lovely game. Very good series so far. Yeah, we should go into 3-3. He just had the NG base selected. It's difficult, though, when you see Protoss making this big of an army, and it's knocking right at your front door, spending all that resource into just an upgrade that's going to be useful in several minutes. Not that easy a decision to make. What is the positioning of this Robo Facility Hero? I hate everything about it. Robo Bay and Robo Facility in the top left-hand corner. Like, this is... I don't like it. It works if you go for non-stop aggression, I guess, and you never let the Terran player breathe. But there's a very good chance that Clem is going to be able to snipe this as soon as he... well, decides to move across the map. A little jump pad over here, a little trampoline position. So we do have an awful lot of Zealots. Now that the planetary is done, though, Clem is going to have a much easier time holding on to this position. At least in theory, as he decides to once more, Hero that is, push all of his units together. The Immortal count is incredibly high. We have 7 Immortals. He's just going to right-click the planetary fortress down, and it does fall. SCVs repairing or not. That's also the reason why the Marauder count has not been that high. We do have a Marine drop 2 on the other side of the map. Recall has completed. Woo! Medevac escapes with 1 HP for now. And now suddenly Clem has to make a decision. Yeah, he's got the better army. Yeah, he's got more units. Yeah, he may have a slight upgrade advantage, but, I mean, not until 3-3 is done. He needs to get something done here very soon, because otherwise he's going to fall behind very quickly economically. So he decides to push in. Oh, snipes the pylon as well before the warping can complete. A lot of those immortals are going to be amazing against marauders, but against marines and ghosts, not really the best weapon of choice. There's also that expansion in the far top left that Clem doesn't currently know of. I don't think he's going to be able to hold this. Nah, no way. He needs to back off. Clem needs to go back. He has already been building another command center. As a matter of fact, he's got a 4th base done. I think it's about time we try to re-secure that position. Maybe go for the one over here. Oh, he doesn't know about this base. Clem has no idea that there's an expansion right over in the top left-hand corner. So, this very dicey spot. We're going into disruptors? Really? Okay. I kind of figured we would build at least a bunch of Colossi first, but not the case. Maybe he doesn't feel like he can get away with it right now, because he's obviously the one under a ton of pressure. Colossi need upgrades to be good. Disruptors, well, I wouldn't consider them to be great units, but they can certainly get you out of very clutch situations, and Hero is definitely somebody who likes them. Okay. +3/+3. Finishing here. It's right after Clem, though, has also finished most of his aggression for now, as both players decide to breathe for a little bit. Expansion at the bottom of the map now also acquired here by Hero. He's trying to continuously grab those mineral fields. He never really has had a lot of money. Clem is actually going to chase this army for a bit. Man, if he knew about the base, he could actually snipe it. But if he doesn't know that it's there, he's making the assumption that this is the expansion that's been mining for a while already. Hero coming in once more. This is the first time that Clem will see a disruptor. Okay, well, at the very least, he notices it before the Purification Nova goes off. Zealots awkwardly trailing behind. Good stutter step micro, though, as we have once more a bit of an alarmy hotkey here. Looking at the movement on the mini-map. Hero sending every single one of his troops in this direction as quickly as possible. Liberator production has begun right here for Clem. This arc, though, for the Terran player is really good. He's trying to chase down these units. One of the Novas does connect. We have another Purification Nova, though, running through. Disruptor falls. Another one. Another one bites the dust. Clem's going to have to micro backwards. That Widowmine, though, getting a good hit in. A lot of very low HP Zealots now. And Clem, coming back from the brink of defeat, is starting to take some really stellar fights. Another free Disruptor gets donated. Liberator's now up in the air. There's really no good counter for those in this Protoss army whatsoever. Storm joins in a little bit too late. We do have a Snipey available, but doesn't quite have the vision for it right now. Those Liberation Zones are going to be phenomenal. And indeed, the base at the 6 o'clock position is going to fall. Now Hero decides to go into a Colossus. I find it very ambitious. He doesn't have the ranged upgrade for the Colossus done. He doesn't really have an easy way to transition into it either. Clem is an absolute monster. Interestingly enough, by the way, the base all the way up here, the one that Clem was previously mining, now has a Nexus building on it. It's very far away from where Hero has spawned, but he believes maybe that's his way out of this conundrum. Okay. What a game. This is, by the way, a best of 5. I don't believe I've mentioned that yet. Clem right now decides to go all the way back home. Bunch of Stalkers here available to try and chase all of this down. Clem has not yet built a fusion core to go into the advanced ballistics upgrade. Getting into the range here would be amazing for those lips. It's expensive, though. Difficult to pull off. In the meantime, though, we also have a large chunk of Terran army still available. Protoss decides to recall. Widowmines do set off. Good snipey, actually, there by Hero. Setting off one of those Widowmines before it could, well, for example, catch some of his High Templar. Disruptor up north, together with a bunch of other Robo units. Liberators in this position would not hurt. Ranged upgrade or not, it doesn't matter for the Colossus. It's still getting a lot of damage done. Hero's trying to strike back once again. Clem is very split up at this point. He needs to be careful. He's got some of his reinforcements running in through the center, but this is only a portion of Terran's army. And that means indeed that Hero can push through this. This might just be the opportunity that he's been looking for this entire time. Looks like an orbital command is going to fall, at least with some target firing. Now the Marines and the Marauders, though, from the middle of the map have arrived. Can we get a storm? We can get a nice storm. A lot of the Protoss army here is contained in that corner. Expansion now is up and running, meaning that Hero can get some very quick warp-ins as well. Zealot, okay, runs into the Marines and the Marauders, forces a bit of friendly fire there as well. Dude, what a game. In my mind, Hero has been dead since about minute 7, after he was very far ahead, up until that point, but he forgot some High Templar. Now all of a sudden, though, despite him being substantially behind in supply, he's knocking at the natural expansion of Clem, and Clem does not seem to have an answer. Clem decides to pull the SCVs from the low ground to try and get rid of that Colossus army once and for all, and I think that may just have been the one thing he needed to do, at least until the Zealot reinforcement showed up. Once more, Clem is forced to run away. He's got about as many medevacs as he's got actual fighting units. Lots of SCVs are going to fall here. Hero now, once more, has the actual economical advantage. Zealot warp in, once more coming in clutch. Stalker still available too, hitting whatever they can. Good EMP, but it probably should have gone onto the Zealots instead. Another Widow Mine, though, does detonate, and those Zealots are going to fall. I think Hero's actually overextending. I think Hero stopped believing in the strength of his army as we have the Prism itself now going down. Clem here more than doubles the opponent's supply. There's 3 Stalkers remaining. That's the entirety of the army here, other than the Zealots. There is just not enough for Hero to really bring it back. And with the Vikings landed on the ground, I believe Clem is now realizing that exact fact as well. Woo! GG. That was a beautiful game of StarCraft 2. Both players feeling absolutely desperate. Which is funny, because obviously there should really only ever be one player that's feeling desperate, right? It can only ever really be the case if there is a bit of a misread. But when both players are misreading the game, you get some extremely dicey scenarios, like the ones that we just now saw. Next up, though, we find ourselves on King's Cove. This is match point for Clem, and it looks like Hero has decided that the way he wants to approach it this time around is by building a proxy Stargate. What's not to love? What's not to love about Hero's playstyle? You can make the argument that MaxSpecs is a little bit stronger in straight up macro. MaxSpecs doesn't really have any low lows, right? Like, you will never really catch MaxSpecs making big mistakes and having the High Templar coming in from the side. But Hero is certainly a lot more, let's call it explosive. Extremely unpredictable, very good at the game, sometimes a little sloppy. It is what it is. But at the very least, he's not afraid to build a proxy Stargate on the other side of the map. And this is one of those things that can really hurt the Terran player. So it's going to be a quick Oracle. Obviously, this saves him a few seconds that it otherwise would be building, right? It would be flying across the map. King's Cove is absolutely massive. Clem has been scouting the top of the map. But I don't believe that he is going to see any of this shenanigans until it hits the main. Did my neighbors just begin some home renovations in the middle of my cast? Ay, ay, ay. I think I hear somebody hitting the wall with a hammer. I don't think my microphone will pick it up, but I was trying to figure out what's going on, man. I suddenly heard dunk, 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 dunk. I was trying to figure out if it was in the game or not. All right, Oracle swoops in. Immediately, those SCVs are running away. Trying their very best to get to safety. 3 workers fall. Could have been better. Hero agrees. He decides to build another one. This is going to be the 3rd Oracle. Second one, the one that still has some energy, full HP. That one is now going into the main base, and it seems like Clem expected a single Oracle. He was fine against 1 Oracle. There's a Widow Mine over here, though. Very careful. Oh, dude, you're on the brink of death. Oh, okay, it's okay. It's okay. SCVs are not mining at the very least. Some really lovely micro here, actually. Keep in mind that these games are going to be played on the North American server because it's Europe going up against, well, Korea. So usually microing with that much ping is a little difficult. Clemdo showing us, or Hero rather showing us, that he is perfectly capable of it. Push at the front, not so successful here for Clem. I mean, he killed a pylon, and he's now being a little bit of a nuisance, but obviously oracles are going to be quite good in this scenario. And those marines are not going to get anything done anymore. Oh, don't lose the medevac. Especially with all of these oracles now together, right? The medevacs are not going to be much useful. Well, apparently Clem has decided that he is going to test the water somewhere. I don't know if I like this hole too much. One of the oracles falls. Second oracle goes down as well, but it's going to come at the cost of the entirety of the Terran army. And that seemed like a very significant commitment there for a whole lot of nothing for Clem. Killing oracles is nice, but certainly not really worth it. Especially now that the third Nexus, I mean, that third Nexus was never going to go down with that. I'm a little surprised Clem decided to take that trade, even though resource-wise it's not the end of the world. It really does slow you down a bunch, and now there's a single Phoenix. I really like the Phoenix. Just using some lifting. The one leftover Oracle as well for revelating and... Or revelation, rather. Apparently I can't say revelating. There's one guy in the YouTube comment section that gets very upset at me when I say revelating. It's not the correct verb. He's revealing. How about that? The skill is called, though, the ability is called Revelation. Revelating. I feel like it should be okay. Anyway. Anyway, it is what it is. Revelationing. Maybe I should call it Revelationing instead. Look, another Revelationing. Off the bunk. No, I don't know if I like Revelationing. Sometimes you gotta just test the words to feel what they sound like. Some nice revelationance by Hero. Maybe what I should say is that Hero is revealing the opponent's things. Revelationing by Hero is going well so far. He's trying his best. Look at Hero, by the way, treating the entire map like his main base. Clem is just sort of cowering in a corner. Hero is already building a fourth Nexus. Look at the minimap. He's sprinkling units all over the place. This man's got vision for days. Clem, in the meantime, desperately trying to break out of his natural. We have a fake Colossus up in the air. Hero's playing this like such a bully. I like how Hero's confidence never really seems to falter, man. It's so nice to see. A lot of players would be quite demoralized after going 2-0 behind in a series. Because now you have to win 3 in a row against Clem. Who in the world wins 3 in a row against Clem? Hero's like, nah, I'll just keep playing. And you know what? Maybe if I fake it, it'll work out. Well, fake it until you make it. I guess it's a technical solution to the problem. I mean, he's at least pretending like he's extremely far ahead here, but I don't really know if I like it too much. Well, this time around, we have a real Colossus coming up with a real ranged as well. Something that was missing in the previous game because Hero couldn't really afford it. And despite making once more his army look absolutely massive here to Clem, taking some of those engagements and good force field. He was actually building up his economy there, so even though his army wasn't really that significant at all, Clem may just be believing that that was a significantly committed Protoss player, right? Like somebody who was looking to see if they could obtain a victory, but something that wasn't really done. And now maybe Clem believes that he is very far ahead. Either way, hallucinate it until you can revelate it, is what my mom always said. Maybe we can do some more revelationing inside of the natural expansion, Hero. Having some vision over here would be nice. Now, one of the problems though that Hero's running into is that this is King's Cove. Very difficult for him to just be pushing. This high ground is now pretty much impossible to break. Clem could even make a little bit of a wall off here, but he's got already like a dozen Widow Mines set up. And with this many mines, how in the world are you gonna break it? So he's decided not to. He's once more decided to go for 2 expansions. So he's already gone up to an additional 2 expansions here once more. Kind of nuts, actually. He doesn't even have enough SCVs or enough probes to really be mining all of those mineral fields effectively. But apparently that doesn't matter. Yeah, on pretty much any other map, Clem would have been in a world of trouble. And I'm still not liking his position very much. But at least on King's Cove, he can get away with all of this. And at least get his army back under control. Now this is going to be a big test. Does Clem have enough to actually secure the expansion on the low ground? This is when he first breaking out of his shell here. This high ground has been nice and safe. Now that Clem is old enough, he needs to stand on his own legs. And is his army good to actually play against this level of Protoss? This is the big bad world over here, man. There's units that will deal splash damage to you. There's stasis wards that will try to trap you. Another hallucinated Colossus. Apparently, even when you do have the Revelation real ones, you can still be faking it as well. More disruptors coming up. Here we go. Hero is deciding now to collapse on top of this Terran army. Some of the units get trapped against the wall. A force field helping out in that regard as well. The Vikings don't really know exactly which one they should be targeting down. One of the siege tanks does take a bunch of damage and will now indeed get sniped. 4th Command Center, though, is coming up. And despite the losses, Clem may actually be okay. Colossi on the wrong side of the wall. Oh, jeez. It's forcing Hero to make a move forward. He's now deciding, though, to just ignore that planetary. Okay, nah. He decides to use the disruptors here to keep that Terran army at bay. Roll them in one at a time. And then it's gonna buy him enough time to at least kill the planetary itself. 11 SCVs have gone down. Colossi, though, are also to the ground. New Widow Mines desperately try to burrow during all of this, but they get sniped before they can detonate. Hero once more, incredibly zealot heavy. Wow. Clem decides to tap out. Doesn't get the 4th base up and going. And that means we've got ourselves a series. I've seen a lot of Terran versus Protoss so far this year. This is probably my favorite one. Incredibly scrappy games. Honestly, that previous one was so oppressive by Hero. I'm not even really sure what Clem could have done differently. Hero was in full control ever since that push across the map didn't go so well for Clem. Right, so that Oracle proxy obviously is what it started, what started it all, and then, well, when Clem lost all of his troops on the other side of the map and he just sort of flung whatever he had left to the 3rd Nexus of Hero and he didn't get the kill on it. That was like at minute 4 or so. He stuck around, he stayed alive, and he still managed to get a 200 supply economy going, but it was just never quite enough. Really well handled by Hero. Hero not overextending his advantage. Hero not really, overestimating his position in that game at all. He just kept going, slowly macroed up. Well, I say slowly. Quickly macroed up. He had like 4 Nexi. And then he had a 5th and a 6th, and he just kept expanding. Either way, he played it out brilliantly. And he struck when the iron was hot. When Terran moved down to the low ground, he did not hesitate. There was a bit of a moment, though, right when the planetary fortress finished up, and Clem didn't immediately die. That seemed to be the best opportunity for Clem to get back into the swing of things. Ooh. Okay, he's feeling it. Body blocking over here with a probe, gets that Reaper as well. Hellion now comes across the map. Momentum is already shifting. Cute play right there by Hero. Clem definitely can be a bit of an emotional player. I don't think Hero really cares. Hero is always known at offline tournaments as the Smiling Assassin. Not really a name that a lot of people still know him by, but the Smiling Assassin is still a pretty apt username for Hero. He really, he takes opponents down with a smile and he never really seems to be too bothered. Clem is not the most emotional Terran player out there, but I have seen him get very frustrated in the past. And especially over the last half year or so, we've seen more keyboard smashes from Clem than ever before. Another move like that, another body block with the exact same probe in the exact same position. Cute plays right there by Hero. Well, let's see if he can now capitalize on it, because he's got some free units. This is honestly when Clem This is what Clem starts doing when he's a little tilted, when he's a little frustrated. He starts testing the waters and try to, you know, double up, go bigger or go home, you know. He puts the house on red, hope for the best. Not generally the best approach. And he may just pay the price for it. Very quick robotics bay again, by the way. We do have good old blink done at this point. And we should have a... We don't have a prism? Really? We went double observer? Huh. No prism yet. So this is actually not going to be that committed. He's just going to macro behind it. Using a bunch of stalkers here to go up towards the high ground and just to be a nuisance. Stimpec is researching inside of this tech lab. It's a bit weird to be making all of this. Like, it's a bit weird to be making triple gate a robo facility and then go double observer into a third nexus together with a robo bay. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning here is for Hero. I wonder if he meant to just make 2 gateways or if he was planning on just being more aggressive. This feels very middle of the road. Like, this was aggression and economy and tech. Usually you pick 2 of the 3. Either way, maybe Hero believes he can get away with all of it, and so far he is okay. But I'm assuming he meant to go Observer into Prism, and then when he realized he went Observer into Observer, he's like, well, I guess I get a Robo Bay going, and we just kind of pretend like we didn't mean to go Triple Gate. There's something a little weird here going on. It's okay for Hero, it shouldn't really matter too much. But I don't think this was entirely according to game plan. Either way, Third Nexus is now up and running, and we do have a Colossus. Obviously, sometimes mistakes like that can also trick Clem a little bit. Where Clem is looking at this, he's like, wait a second, this is weird. Like, how do we... Koreans are kind of known, though, for having some weird tendencies sometimes. This is the type of stuff you would never see out of mech specs. At least, I don't really remember seeing mech specs make, like, accidental mistakes like that. It's a very Hero-esque thing to do. But sometimes confusing the opponents because you played a game suboptimally is actually a legit strategy. Anti-timings and everything suddenly becomes a lot more terrifying. Either way, the transition here is into the good old charge. We have our Disruptor coming up. Stimpec at this point is done. We have the, combat shields now finishing. There's the +1 infantry attacks too. And it looks like this game was actually hosted without any of the observer features. Which is why we don't see anything showing up on the right side of the screen or anything onto the structures. Shouldn't matter too much. But maybe this game was rushed a little. Double Robo facility coming up. And Hero is going to just double down. We're once more playing a big macro game. At the very least, that's the vibe I'm getting. So far, Clem, by the way, has just been trying to play this sort of game. Just kind of funny. Like, Clem is generally quite aggressive in this matchup. But so far in this series, he just hasn't really been able to get going. Because Hero is constantly being, well, a bit of a jerk. He's hitting the opponent in the face. Lots of proxies. Loads of aggression. And it may just be the way to play against Clem. Now, in this game, Clem is going to get his wish. In this game, Clem gets to do whatever he likes. And Hero is saying, yo, we'll clash armies later on into the game instead. Intentional or not, that is the situation we find ourselves in right now. Oh, sorry about that, Jimmy. We get units warped in right on top of your corpse. It's a little morbid. 5th Nexus coming up too. 4th Command Center starts up as the 5th Nexus starts up, so Hero certainly does not have a bad eco here, but you do have to keep in mind that, of course, mules are very powerful. So economically, Clem here is just fine. Already, though, he's setting up shop again. Lots of vision all around the map. Clem has decided to now go into the armory. We don't yet have the +1 armor done, but he is going to be able to start up the +2 the +2 infantry attacks here regardless. Ghost Academy, now that the 3rd base is fully up and running. And we should see additional barracks here in just a moment. So we're building. Today we're playing infrastructure, apparently. Well, after all of those very action-packed games, it's nice to see a nice, comfortable, very conventional beginning as well. Dark Shrine here is done for Hero. Generally not super aggressive, more or less just a upgraded version of a Dark Templar run by. We're gonna go into all of the robo-based speed upgrades as well. There's an observer speed, there's a warp prism speed. All of them are very good, especially the prism speed. And this will be when Clem is once more gonna try, ooh, careful, whether or not he can secure a 4th base. Very difficult to break Terran when they're on 3 bases, but this is that opportunity, right? When Terran is moving out. Problem is, on ley lines, if you compare this to, for example, King's Cove, on King's Cove, you really have to commit as Terran, right? You have to go down that low ground, and like the previous map we were just on, you have to really suddenly present yourself to the map. On this map, it's not quite the same deal. Clem can just, awkwardly expand horizontally, but it's also slightly away from the opponent. So it's not really too scary. Ooh, Hero decided, though, that apparently he's going to give his opponent the moment to breathe. And then show up once more with his disruptors. He's going extremely disruptor heavy, by the way. He's going 2 more robos, and he's already pumping out 2 disruptors at a time. Are we going mass disruptor? Is that the plan? I mean, we're going Dark Templar Blink and 4 robo disruptor. That seems to be what we're cooking up here. It's a hero strategy and a half. Well, the siege tank is already going down. Bunch of units going in from the back as well. We have the Vikings landing on the ground. Marines and Marauders, though, using their Stimpaks to just chase this army away. Bunch of Medivacs a bit overextended, but not enough Stalkers here to really be a nuisance. This is dangerous here for Hero, though, because he just spent so much money on things that haven't really kicked in yet. I think he still survives, but the fact that he committed to that big of an engagement, I guess he saw the opportunity and he decided to just take it with both hands, but it's very dangerous when you just invest, well, a few thousand minerals and gas into infrastructure, right? Like things that don't really do you anything good yet, to then go for the push. Here we go. We're just pumping out disruptor after disruptor after disruptor here. Ooh. Pushes around the site. Mass repair here onto the planetary. And that planetary really is keeping a lot of this safe. Difficult for Hero to break this spot. He's hoping for the big win. Cheeky little Raven, waiting all the way up north. Oh, is he really gonna commit once more? Using the disruptors mostly as a zoning tool. This is so committed though by Hero. Do we really need to be doing this, Hero? I mean, using the disruptors to keep the door wide open and then eventually not kill the planetary, it's risky, but the trades have not been terrible. One of the Colossus escapes with like 1 HP. This planetary is having a grand old day. It is designed to do exactly what it's up to right now. Colossus here does fall. Additional zealots are showing up. Okay, disruptors are going to try and hold the door open once more, but this time around they decide to jam the door shut. It's a weird way to keep it open, and again, it does not look like it's actually good enough. 13 confirmed kills on the planetary fortress itself. Vikings land on the ground once more. We had a Viking, a landed one, getting picked up inside of a medevac to save it from a purification nova. Clem forced to micro his butt off. He does smash his piggy bank though, goes into the 3-3 research. That'll be really nice. But against disruptors, it's, well, all or nothing, right? It's very hit or miss. Upgrades don't really do you as much good when you're playing against this many novas. Okay, we have some Immortals coming up. Some additional Colossi will be joining the battlefield as well. I can't believe we have this much Robo Facility production. I kind of love it. This has not been common over the last few months. The Disruptor is considered to be quite a weak unit these days, since it can no longer one-shot Marauders, right? So that's a big change since the new patch. But Hero is showing us that it's still certainly something that you need to be considering here as Terran. In the meantime, there is a Stalker push as well on the other side of the map. Clem trying to sneak out a command center there. It's funny how this small group of Stalkers, well, they achieved within his entire army. And all of its ancestors have not been able to get to. Again, Disruptors rolling forward. Planetary falls. And with it, Clem decides to tap out. And that means it all comes down to this. Can Hero complete the reverse sweep against Clem? Hero is clearly feeling it today. hyper-aggression, weird strategies, build orders that don't even really make sense, proxies all around the map. And apparently we're gonna try and see if we can finish this series in the same way that it began. By a proxy pylon in the middle of the map. And I'm assuming proxy gateways. Yeah. Well, throughout a series of StarCraft, momentum is a very real thing. Not that long ago, Clem was leading this series comfortably, 2-0. Not a comfortable match. None of the games were easy. But certainly a comfortable lead in a best of 5. Now suddenly, though, the score has evened up, and you're clearly playing against a Protoss player who is ready to throw the kitchen sink at you. Right? Like, he will do anything it takes. Now, it's only going to be a single gate. In the first game of the series, he decided to do a double proxy gateway. That one didn't work. Clem actually defended it flawlessly. 4 zealots into, what was it, like 4 stalkers as well. Clem didn't even really seem to bother, or he didn't really seem to be particularly bothered by it. Whew. Second game of the series was an absolute banger too, man. Ooh. Third game? Fourth game? Like, this entire series has been amazing. Now, it's just gonna be a zealot. Zealot is nice. Not the end of the world, but nice. One thing to note, though, is that Hero decided to proxy a pylon in the middle of the map, and then he used that probe for scouting. So even though Clem has not seen what's going on, that probe showed up awfully early. Not that strange in, like, Protoss versus Zerg. Protoss players will be sending probes across the map all the time. Are we... Okay, I was gonna say, are you trying to hide it against Clem? This isn't Diamond League, Hero. Hiding a probe in your opponent's main base that you've been scouting with for a minute, like, that would be impressive. Either way, this would be... There's certainly a chance here that Clem is a bit concerned about the situation. I would not be surprised if he is gonna, figure out exactly what he's playing against right now. But he may have already had a good understanding of it. Adept should be able to finish the job. Yep. The long arm of the Adept always reaches. That's what my grandma told me when I was just a little boy. And we're gonna start knocking on the Terran's door. Alright, let's see. Now again, this is mostly just to be a nuisance. Eventually, we should see a Cyclone coming out, and Cyclones are gonna be amazing against this sort of thing. But it's a skill check. And a very annoying thing to have to play against. Because what in the world are you expecting now on the back of this? Right? Like, what else is Hero going to do? Well, generally, they're not going to give you a gateway and a pylon. So, if that's the case, it's safe to assume this is going to be continued aggression here from the Protoss player. Nice little bit of SCV shoveling, by the way. We'll be able to keep this this alive eventually. And we have a starport now on the back of this too. So Clem is not really slowing down that much. So weird. Just a random sentry being produced in the middle of El Dorado. He did knock down the 1 mineral field over here too to get some vision on the watchtower. So at the very least he can get a glimpse of the Terran army moving in. Or maybe a Cyclone moving in a little bit further north. Nexus on the low ground is done. Mineral fields are being mined out over here too, as the one probe, I think from the middle of the map, has now shown up over here. And he's thinking about already making another Nexus. I'm not so sure if that's the best call. Clem also, moving down the low ground, he needs to be extremely careful with these expensive units of his. Yes, they're Marines. Yes, they're only 50 minerals. But at this phase in the game, that is so much money. Zealot goes down, but a lot of Marines do as well. The Cyclones are pretty much, invulnerable at this point. Not really a whole lot you can do. I love this entire series from Hero. Like, Clem is playing as we expect Clem to play. It's almost quote-unquote boring, right? Because he's very good at normal StarCraft. Did he overextend, though? That's my question. Because those Cyclones are still going to be so good. Maybe not entirely invincible, but they're still extremely hard to beat. Yeah, Clem here is showcasing some excellent control. And he is going to be able to shove that Protoss player off his lawn, but... A third Nexus is building on the back of this too. Clem is not going to have an easy time scouting it. Not until the medevac maybe sees it. But are you really ambitious enough at this phase for Yeah, you to fly like 2 Cyclones and a Medevac across the map. That would be weird. Maybe if you're Bjorn, you would like to go ahead and do so, but the third Nexus will likely be unscouted for now. Hard to tell if this is going to be like a full-on all-in from Protoss, and what sort of tech you can really expect. Well, 5.5 almost minutes into the game, we have a Twilight Council coming up. Shield battery building inside of the main mineral line too. It looks like Clem for now, though, is going to settle with just killing the warp gate. Yep. Good idea. Should be able to get away here relatively easily. It does mean that your main base is wide open. Nothing that can really protect you on this side of the map for now, but it should be okay. Does he pick up on the fact that the mineral field has been mined out? Yeah, I think he just saw it. Yeah. So he realizes now that he's been spotted. And SCV, though, is also going to try and do a similar job here to allow a bit of a wider opening. There is a Liberator that has now seen the third Nexus. So that's one way to get a little bit of vision for it. So we have a couple of Stalkers doing a weird mating dance inside of the main base. Charge. Charge is going to be the first upgrade now for Hero. Stimpack, of course, the first one here for Clem, who's now feeling like maybe he can be the aggressor, and I don't entirely disagree with him. 2 siege tanks, actually. That's really nice. This might just be the opportunity that Clem has been looking for. Clem is very used to the aggression that MaxSpecs goes for. Turns out Hero likes to employ very different builds, but this is a wonderful push that is going to be super difficult for Hero to break without charge and without blink. And that means that the third Nexus is in a world of trouble. Finally, I feel like for the first time, Clem manages to strike back in like 3 entire matches. I feel like he hasn't really been able to do that much. There is a new Nexus building already to replace the one that has just gone down. But this was something here for Clem that is extremely valuable. Siege tanks are saved as well. He's going to bring them back home inside of the plane. He doesn't know if Blink is going to finish up. It was charge first. So not a whole lot here that can really be done to chase those Terran units away. And Jimmy and his friends will be able to make their way home here. And they will eventually get Stimpack and combat shields as well in a few minutes. Okay. Random pylon in the middle of the map too at the bottom. Clem is going to try and see if maybe Jimmy can help out in that regard. Snipe that unit for now. Whew. Looks like we've got a little bit of time to breathe. There hasn't been much of that. Zealot run by going around. Hero is thinking that maybe a third command center could already be set up over there, and it turns out he is correct. It's just that 6 Zealots, I mean, this is enough to, like, not want to lose him. Yeah. But also not really enough to deal any real damage unless Terran is on the other side of the map. Still 300 minerals here, maybe 400 minerals down the drain. Okay. New Nexus in the far top left. And even though Hero wanted to originally play the small version of this map, right? Where both players just expand towards the bottom and you just fight for this little bit of terrain. After the Nexus fell here, both players have now decided that they're gonna play the large version of the map. We should probably make something here. Okay. Oh, he starts up an SCV. We should probably make an orbital. Clem is on the hunt. One siege tank a little far back, but still no blink. Hard to really achieve anything. And at this phase in the game, Hero also doesn't have any real splash damage. He needs to win with just the sheer number of Zealots and Stalkers that he has, but I don't think he's got enough. Charge has already been shown here. Okay, a little force field's good enough, I guess. Maybe pick them up, get away. Siege tanks, though, still dealing a tremendous amount of damage. Is Clem gonna go home? I don't think so. No, I think he's looking for a better angle. It's a bit too predictable now, but it also gives the opponent some time. It will be Colossi, by the way. We also do have the ranged upgrade. The armor upgrade coming up for the ground army, too. Ghost Academy inside of the main base. 4th command center now also building here for Clem. Double gas here taken to be able to actually produce all of those ghosts. I think Hero was in a world of trouble there. I think Clem could have committed with that push quite a bit more. He decided not to, because charge slots are real scary and you never really know with Hero how many units he truly has. Again, Hero is very good at making his army look bigger than it actually is. So you never really know, right? Is that the same group of zealots that you just now saw, or is this a different group of zealots? Worst thing that you can have is you're kiting forward with your marines and marauders, and then the zealots swoop in around the back and kill your siege tank line. Okay, we have a Doom drop in the main base. There are a lot of Stalkers already waiting, but I don't think it's going to be enough. One Immortal as well, but not really working in the fight as well. Siege tank sieges up. Gonna be able to put in some additional support as well. In the meantime, the rest of the Terran army is in the middle of the map, trying to hunt down another expansion. This fight indeed has been won by the Terran player, and now the siege tanks are in a pretty good spot. We do need a couple of zealots charged over in that location. They do indeed clear out the siege tanks, but the Widow Mines also clear out a lot of the zealots. Clem right now, though, taking a dominating supply advantage. He's building another command center there, too. That one's gonna grow a little planetary fortress head on top of itself. Recall towards the main base to finally force that drop to disappear. But Clem has now got this series in both of his hands. A substantial supply lead, one that he has never seen throughout this series. He fired up 2-2 as well. Ghosts are now also supplementing this army very nicely. And it's now only a handful of units that still really remain here for Hero. He's got enough to split up his troops. Clem decides to just put everything in one big ball, and it looks like the second Colossus over there also falls. Only one remains. Expansion in the far top left, now in a world of trouble. There's a new medevac drop inside of the main base too. Zealot warp-in is gonna be forced. And that means, of course, that there will be even less units here at the front to truly defend. And I think this sealed the deal. It is going to be Clem who obtains the victory in this amazing best of 5 series. But man, he had to fight for it. GG.